Hey guys, XJ here. Today we're going to talk about the 2022 Season 1 Patch 2 update, and it's pretty exciting. So let's get started. So if you were like me, I was a bit disappointed in the Season 1 launch, and then I had high hopes for Patch 1, still didn't meet my expectations compared to what iRacing has released over the past 12 to 18 months. However, Patch 2 is going to make up some ground for that. And we're going to talk about the top 5 things today. So let's go. Now available is the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. It's a 1/4 mile track, or 0.4 kilometers, 20-mile-per-hour pit speed, and the pit is to the interior of the track. There is night lighting and only one configuration. As you can see on the screen, this is a tiny track, and it's going to make for some interesting racing, to say the least. I know a lot of us have looked forward to seeing this and what it would look like. So, hey, now's your opportunity to go race it. $14.95 before any discounts are applied. And next, we'll talk about the next-gen cars that have been updated. Drafting parameters have been updated. Vehicle parameters have also been updated. Mentioned slightly in the notes to satisfy the latest NASCAR rules packages. Not exactly sure what that wording means. Car specs have been updated also to the latest information from NASCAR. They did fix an issue in regard to modulation of engine sounds at high RPMs, and they have also updated all iRacing setups for the next-gen class cars. What I will say is this, and you'll see on your screen, you do have to lift at Charlotte now, and the car does get loose. This is a great thing for us just prior to the start of the NIS season. I am now actually excited about this car, and you should be too. It should only get better from this point, but we definitely needed something considering the car that we've had for the last 9 months or so that has been very, very unimpressive. We have a race car, ladies and gentlemen. We have a race car. Next up, and this may be a little surprise for some, but Nvidia's Reflex, the support is now enabled in iRacing. Now, this is a big deal, guys. There has been some issues out there in regard to frame rate and certain graphics cards. Will this correct it? I don't know. But what I will tell you is having this option now could definitely present some better quality gameplay for those of you who can use it. Now, there's kind of 2 ways to do this. And you can see on the screen, you can go through the options menu over to the graphics setting, and you will find where you can enable just the reflex, or you can also enable it with the boost. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, essentially any PC that is GPU bound is when the CPU outperforms your GPU. This will work for you, and it's going to help with render latencies, enabling a low latency mode in that device driver. Now, when you enable boost mode, it also helps keep the GPU clock at a higher rate when the simulator is CPU bound. Okay, now CPU bound is the opposite of GPU bound. CPU bound processor underperforms compared to your graphics processor. Along with this support, there is now a new T-meter that shows in the graphics rendering if you have that enabled, so that you can see the actual rendered frame rate total time as far as the queue. Now, if you'd like to know more about this Nvidia Reflex, there is a link below in the description that takes you to the Nvidia site that starts to explain how it does help and what exactly it does. Essentially, it just shortens the queue when it comes to the CPU rendering frames and passing that information off to the GPU. Again, check the link in the description below. This next one will apply to some of you, but not all of you. True Force support has been temporarily disabled while they wait for a patch from G-Hub. So this may cause some of you in the G923 Logitech wheel some issues right now, but let's hope not. It says that all users will need to recalibrate their steering. Okay, so anyone using that Logitech G923, you need to recalibrate your steering. And it says, if desired, that you can manually turn True Force support back on by manually editing the app INI file and the setting for the force feedback where it's True Force enabled force off equals 1. Now, they're reworking the Logitech True Force support, so users are not going to have to recalibrate after the system is enabled or disabled. And apparently this has been a problem, and it should be corrected. Again, they'll turn that back on though once they get this patch from G-Hub. So be aware of that, Logitech users. And finally, we do have some updates to cars and tracks. The one I'd like to point out first is the Daytona International Speedway updates. Apparently, they decided to remove the large sausage curb from the road course. Too bad they couldn't have done that before the 24 hours. There are also some other car updates. Of one particular note, the NASCAR Cup Series class cars, drafting parameters have been updated. No other details as far as what that means, but let's hope the drafting is better and not going in the opposite direction. One thing you'll notice when you do complete your updates today, even though only a few cars are mentioned for updates and minor matters, the big one being obviously the next-gen car, which we already talked about. Only the Ferrari, I should say the Ferrari Evo, the Hyundai Elantra, the Mercedes AMG GT3, and then the NASCAR Cup Series cars along with the next-gen cars, the Porsche 911 RSR, and the Spec Racer Ford are mentioned in the notes as far as for what they did in updates. However, when you do the download, you're going to notice that a multitude, if not almost all of the cars, have some type of slight update. No details in the notes as to what that's about, and I am curious myself. Unfortunately, this patch does not have the 87 Buick NASCAR Rain, the additional dirt tracks that we know have been scanned, nor the updated Atlanta. But hopefully, they're not too far off in the distant future, and maybe we can hope for a Season 2 late Christmas present. If this video helped you, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel. You can also check out my additional content at XJ Simulations on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch at XJ_Jagman for additional information and for my live stream. Thanks for watching.